The cold call example you're about to hear in this video is less than 3 minutes and teaches you the lessons I've learned from making over 40,000 cold calls. I just went back and listened to the call and it honestly impressed me how fluid I was overcoming almost every objection in the book. Hey, how are you? When they just respond back one word, good. You're already in trouble. Hey, does my name Qualtrics ring a bell? Company name? No, it doesn't. Okay, perfect. Oh, you're already doing something today? Great. These are many objections you're gonna hear making cold calls. A great analogy is think about when you're working out. Think about when you're going on that run. Think about when you're lifting those weights. Think about when you're doing yoga or doing that core. You start to feel resistance. You start to want to give up. Your mind starts to say, you know what? You should just stop and it'll be a lot easier because that's the path of least resistance. On a cold call, you will say things, the customer or prospect will respond, and you'll naturally, your human instinct will say, give up, concede, tell them to have a nice day, get off the phone. Every urge in your body is gonna say, get off the phone. It's your job to push through. You're the boxer in that fight that just got punched in the face. You gotta get your composure and you gotta punch back in the form of asking an inquisitive question or providing some sort of value on the phone. After making over 40,000 cold calls, I've learned almost every trick in the book. And step number one when making a cold call is don't overthink the introduction. You are calling another human being. You're not just calling a name on a screen. A lot of people want you to overthink it and say, do you have 27 seconds? Hey, I know that this is a cold call. Do you want to hang up? That's robotic. People don't want to hear that. People want to hear from another human that's going to improve their lives, that's going to deliver them value, that's going to eventually help them get promoted and improve their business as a result. I don't overthink it, and I just say in a very cheerful tone, hey, this is Trent from Qualtrics. How are you? They either respond back, I'm okay. How can I help you? Hey, Trent, I'm good. How are you? Once they say that, I know I have them. Step number two is what do you say from that point to continue the conversation and start to build the value? So I say, hey, Annette, this is Trent from Qualtrics. How are you? Hey, Trent, I'm good. Hey, and then this is what you say. The reason I'm giving you a call today, Annette, is, and if it's completely cold, hopefully you sent them an email beforehand. The reason I'm calling you today is that I'm following up on the email I sent you. Does my name, company name, ring a bell? If they've heard of your company, great. That means you already have an advantage and you've already got them to say yes and you've already warmed up the conversation. If they have not heard of the company, and as you'll hear in this cold call example, the guy shuts me down immediately. You can tell he wants to get off the phone. And then I double down and I say, look, the reason I'm calling you specifically is step number three, based on their buyer persona and their role, you need to know what they care about and how your solution potentially will help them. You need to be able to double down and say, with complete conviction, the reason I'm calling you specifically is, and you need to believe it when you say it, and you need to have a good reason as to why you're saying it. Hey, I noticed that you're an HR leader over at XYZ company. What I typically hear speaking with other executives is that you care about talent attraction and retention. How are you gathering employee feedback today? And then also ask vague, open-ended questions that almost force them to say yes. The value proposition of my company is that I help them with employee feedback. Hey, is employee feedback a priority for you or the team this year in 2021? Of course it is. It has to be. If it's not, then they're not doing their job. Figure out questions like that to ask. On this cold call example, what you're going to hear is a lasting note, and what I want to call out is if they're doing something today. This is one of the toughest cold call objections to overcome. Hey, I'm already doing this here today. You need to have a baseline understanding of your competitors so that you can speak to what is the negative consequences of staying on that path today, and why do they need to allocate 30 minutes to set up an introductory call with you to learn more about your product or solution? Think about this comparison. I heard this today from our founder CEO. When you go think about competition, and it gets me anxious from time to time thinking, oh, I'm competing against XYZ. When you walk outside, do you feel that you're in a competition for the air with all the other humans around you and you just want to go back inside? You can't think like that. You got to go directly forward. Can't let competition stop you. And if you hear that they're already doing it today, what you'll hear in this example, I don't even flinch. As soon as he says that, I said, Okay, great. How are you doing that today? What about that is or isn't working? And then I go right into my value prop. What you'll see is by asking these specific questions, overcoming the objections, providing value, I get him to agree to a conversation. I identify that the timing isn't quite relevant due to an implementation they're going through, and never get off the call without getting a clear next step. Ideally, you set the cold call for that week. Ideally, you set the cold call, or the meeting rather, for the next couple days. The sooner you can set that initial meeting by asking for their time from that time of the cold call, the higher probability they'll show and the better it's gonna go. Anytime it's prolonged, you never know what you're gonna get, but due to an implementation, I knew he wouldn't meet with me unless I pushed it out a couple months. I suggested that, it seemed logical, and he said, you know what? Yeah, I'll give you the opportunity. And he ended up accepting the calendar invite. And I think that this is really just a prime cold call example. Many of the people on here teaching you sales advice are trying to sell you something or don't actually work in sales themselves. This is a live cold call example of me in my job, a real recording, a real cold call, a real prospect, and I'm super proud and excited to share with you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and put the audio clip in now, so that's gonna wrap up the video. I haven't had the opportunity to ask you to hit the like button, so go ahead and hit the like button now. It takes 1 second, it really helps the channel. It will help get this video out on the algorithm to more people. I'd really appreciate it. And subscribe now if you haven't already. I really hope you enjoyed this recording. Let me know any questions or thoughts you have in the comments below. And after this video, go make some cold calls. See you guys.
Hello.
Hey, Joe, this is Trent from Qualtrics. How are you?
Good, thank you.
That's great to hear. Hey, the reason I was giving you a call this morning, Joe, is I was following up on a recent email I'd sent you. Does the name Qualtrics ring a bell?
No, not really.
Perfect, no worries. Well, the reason I was reaching out to you specifically, Joe, is I noticed that you oversee the HR vision and strategy over at Engineering. My company, Qualtrics, helps you to better collect feedback from your employees to drive the outcomes you may be focused on, like reducing attrition, improving productivity, engagement, other outcomes like that. Is employee feedback a priority or initiative for you and your team this year in 2021?
It is, but we actually have our training group that's doing a pretty good job in terms of getting feedback.
How's that being done today?
They usually do SurveyMonkey, and then we have 2 different focus groups we're working with.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you're in a good place. Anytime you get anecdotal feedback from the groups, and then when you're using a SurveyMonkey, that typically is good as just a way to collect data. Really where we see the evolution for organizations is as we start to think about an employee experience platform being a system of action. And of course, understanding that engagement data, but understanding also that onboarding, exit data, and really combining it together to really empower leaders and drive action. That's really where the value you'll see with Qualtrics. Would there be an opportunity for us to set up a brief call to review your current process and see how Qualtrics could perhaps help you improve your business?
Probably not right now. We're in the middle of an LMS implementation, and so we're not going to roll out till mid to late October. So that's kind of our priority right now.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, when that is complete, it sounds like it may be appropriate for a brief call. Would you be the best person to speak with regarding this, or would it be someone from the training group that manages the engagement program directly?
I would.
Okay. Well, Joe, I know you're really busy right now with the LMS implementation, and you are doing a lot of great things today. Could we find some time, perhaps mid to late October, just to connect on this and really talk about your 2022 goals?
Sure, just send me a calendar invite. That's usually what works best.
Perfect. Thanks so much for the time, Joe. I wish you all the best. Good luck with the LMS implementation. I'll talk to you in a couple of months.
Thank you. Bye-bye.